Your life as every level of a bank robbery. Level 1. The lookout. You're standing on a corner 3 blocks from the bank, phone in your hand, pretending to scroll through messages you're not reading. Your actual job is simpler. Watch for cops? That's it. You don't know the full plan. You don't know who else is involved beyond the guy who recruited you at a bar 2 weeks ago after he heard you complain about rent. You know your cut. $2,000 for maybe an hour of work. More money than you've ever made in a day. The risk feels abstract. You've never been arrested. You've never even gotten a speeding ticket. Criminal consequences are things that happen to other people in different neighborhoods. Not you, not here. Your phone buzzes. The signal. They're going in. Your heart rate spikes. This just became real. You scan the street with eyes that suddenly feel too focused, too obvious. A woman walks past with a stroller. A delivery truck double parks. Normal life continuing while you participate in something that could send you to prison. The minutes stretch. You check your phone every 30 seconds even though you're not supposed to. No cops yet, no sirens. Maybe this actually works. Maybe you walk away with cash and nothing changes except your bank account. Then you see the patrol car, just cruising. Probably routine, but it's slowing down near the intersection. Your instructions were clear. If you see police, text a single letter. X. Your thumb hovers over the keyboard. The cop car rolls through the intersection and continues past. False alarm. You exhale. Your second buzz comes 4 minutes later. They're out. You don't see them leave. You're not supposed to. You walk 3 blocks in the opposite direction, exactly as instructed, and find an envelope under a newspaper and a trash can. Inside is $2,100 bills. You count them twice, then a third time. $2,000. You fold the envelope into your jacket and walk to the bus stop like nothing happened. On the ride home, you think about how easy that was, how clean, how nothing went wrong and nobody got hurt and the money is already warming through your jacket into your ribs. You also think about how you do it again, not because you need to, because you want to know what the next level feels like. That thought is the most dangerous thing that's ever crossed your mind. Level 2. The Bagman. 2 years later, you're inside the bank. The role nobody wants because it carries the most exposure and the most time if you get caught. But the money is real. $18,000 to $25,000 per job depending on the branch. And your girlfriend Lisa is 7 months pregnant with medical bills that don't care about your moral compass. She thinks you work warehouse shifts. You let her think that because the truth would break something between you that you can't afford to lose right now. You hand the first teller a note. Simple instructions. All the cash. No die packs. No alarms. The gun under your jacket is visible enough to communicate threat, but not visible enough to cause panic in your peripheral vision. Your voice doesn't shake. Your hands don't tremble. You project control even though your heart is hammering against your sternum like it's trying to escape before you do. The teller empties her drawer. Hundreds, 50s, 20s, maybe 4,000. You move to the next window. The second teller is older. She's been through this before. You can tell by how efficiently she moves. No hesitation, no tears, just compliance. Professional on both sides of the counter. 90 seconds inside. You're carrying maybe 18,000 across 3 tellers. Not the score you wanted, but acceptable. Banks don't keep the cash they used to. Most transactions are digital now. The real money is in armored trucks and central processing. But those jobs require different skills, different risks. You exit through the same door you entered. The driver is exactly where he should be. You're in the back seat removing your jacket, your gloves, becoming someone different before the car even moves. The money goes to the medical bills, the crib Lisa wanted, the electricity. You tell yourself this is temporary. 1 more job, maybe 2. Just until the baby comes and you find real work. But you do 3 more over the next year because the math never stops making sense when you're the one doing the adding. Then one Tuesday morning, 3 weeks after your last job, you're arrested at your apartment. Lisa is in the kitchen making breakfast. She screams when they come through the door. Your daughter is 4 months old and starts crying in the next room. A teller identified you from a photo array. Your face was visible for 7 seconds on security footage. 7 seconds. Federal charges carry mandatory minimums. Your public defender explains that cooperation might reduce your sentence. You don't cooperate. The people above you have long memories and longer reach. You take the plea, 8 years. Lisa visits for the first year, then less, then not at all. The last time you see her, she tells you she met someone. He works at a hospital. Regular hours, regular paycheck. She says your daughter deserves stability. You want to argue, but you can't because she's right. Level 3, the planner. You're out after 6 with good behavior. The world moved on without you. Lisa married the hospital guy. Your daughter is 6 years old and calls him by his first name. She calls you nothing because she doesn't remember you. Nobody hires convicted bank robbers for legitimate work. You send out 43 applications in your first month. 2 callbacks, 0 offers. But you learn things inside, met people. Real professionals who did this for decades before one mistake caught them. They taught you what amateurs miss, how to case a bank properly, traffic patterns, guard rotations, camera blind spots, employee schedules, how to assemble crews where nobody knows more than their piece, how to plan exits with contingencies built on contingencies. You meet Marcus your 3rd week out. He's working at the same halfway house kitchen where you wash dishes. Former armored truck driver, did 4 years for a job that went wrong in Philadelphia. He's quiet, disciplined, watches everything, doesn't talk about what he did unless you ask. And even then, he measures his words like a man who's been burned by saying too much. You start planning. Marcus listens. He doesn't commit right away. He asks questions that prove he's smarter than you expected. What's the police response time? How do you handle die packs? What happens if the vault is on a time lock? Where's the second exit? Where's the third? He thinks in contingencies. You think in opportunities. Together, that's a complete brain. You spend 3 months watching a bank in Connecticut. You know which teller always takes lunch at noon. You know the manager parks in the same spot every morning. You know the police response time is 4 minutes on average, 6 if they're handling another call. You know the security guard is 62 and 3 months from retirement and takes a bathroom break at 10:15 like clockwork. Marcus drives. You recruit 2 more. The lookout worked armored trucks for a decade before going independent. The inside man knows alarm systems like surgeons know anatomy. Nobody knows more than their piece. The take is 94,000, clean execution. You're gone before anyone realizes what happened. The split is predetermined. Everyone gets their percentage, no arguments, no greed. Marcus takes his cut and shakes your hand in a parking lot in Hartford. No celebration, just business. You clear 32,000 after expenses, more than you'd make in a year washing dishes. The guilt you expected doesn't arrive. What arrives instead is clarity. You're good at this. You were always good at this. Prison didn't take the skill away. It sharpened it. The second job is in Maryland, a credit union in a strip mall. Smaller take, but lower risk. Marcus studies the route for a week before he agrees to drive. He times every traffic light between the bank and the highway. He identifies 3 alternative exits in case the primary is blocked. He's meticulous in a way the other guys you've worked with never were. After the job, he counts his cut at a rest stop and puts it in an envelope addressed to himself. No storage unit, no fake name, just cash in a P.O. box that he empties every Tuesday. You realize Marcus is saving, not accumulating. Saving. There's a difference. Accumulating is what addicts do. Saving is what people do when they have a destination. The third job almost goes wrong. A customer in the bank pulls out a phone. Your lookout doesn't catch it. The police response comes 90 seconds faster than projected. Marcus makes a left turn through a red light that shaves 2 minutes off the escape and saves the entire operation. He doesn't mention it afterward. He just says the route needs updating. You do 3 more over the next 6 months. Different states, different methods. Marcus drives every one. He's the only constant. You're smart enough to vary everything else. The FBI looks for signatures. Repetition gets you caught. Sometimes you hit on Fridays when cash reserves are higher. Sometimes Mondays. Sometimes small town branches. Sometimes urban. You never hit the same region twice within 6 months. After the 6th job, Marcus asks you to meet him at a diner off I-95. He orders coffee. You order coffee. He doesn't touch his. He tells you he's done. Not because he got scared, because he got what he needed. He's got $68,000 saved. Enough for a down payment on a house in North Carolina. His sister lives there. Quiet town, no past. He says something you'll replay in your head for years. He says the trick isn't knowing when to start. It's knowing when the math stops making sense. Right now, the math still works. Another job, another score, the numbers keep climbing. But the math always stops making sense. The question is whether you notice before the math kills you or after. You tell him you hear him. You do hear him. You just don't agree yet. Marcus slides a napkin across the table with a phone number on it. His sister's landline. He says if you ever need a place where nobody knows your name, call that number. He pays for both coffees. He shakes your hand like he always does. Firm. No performance. He walks out and you watch him cross the parking lot and get into a car. You helped him buy and drive south toward a life you're not ready for yet. The money piles up. $200,000 in a storage unit under a fake name. You could stop. Buy a house somewhere cheap. Start over clean. Call the number on the napkin. But the skill has become identity. You're good at this. Better than you were at anything legitimate. The rush matters more than the money now. That's the part Marcus was warning you about. You didn't listen. Level 4. The crew boss. You're running your own operation now. Multiple teams. 6 people you trust. 8 you're evaluating. You take a percentage from every job even when you're not physically present. Management fee for planning, for connections, for assuming the risk of coordination. You've graduated from banks to armored trucks. The money is exponentially better. A single truck can carry $3 million. Your team hits one outside a casino in Atlantic City. 12 minutes from approach to exit. 2 gunmen who keep the guards compliant. A blocker van that creates a traffic delay on the exit route. $800,000 after the split. You clear 260. The FBI task force hunting you has a name for your crew. You read about yourself in newspapers. They've connected 4 jobs across 3 states. They don't have faces yet, just patterns. Methods. The knowledge that someone disciplined is operating. You feel pride reading those articles, which is the first symptom of the disease that kills everyone in this profession. Ego. Marcus would have told you that was insane. Marcus would have put down the newspaper and said stop reading about yourself and start reading about the people looking for you. But Marcus is in North Carolina building a porch, and you're in a motel room in Delaware studying your own legend. You start taking bigger risks. A bank in broad daylight in a mid-sized city. An armored truck during a shift change at a Federal Reserve branch. Each job more ambitious than the last. The crew follows because the money follows. Nobody questions the boss when the check's clear. One night you almost call Marcus. You're sitting in a safe house at 2 in the morning. The next job planned down to the second, and you pick up the phone and scroll to the number on the napkin. You don't know what you'd say. Maybe you'd tell him about the armored truck job. Maybe you'd ask about Chief. Maybe you just listen to his voice and remember what it sounds like when someone who cares about you tells you to stop. You put the phone down. You go back to the blueprints. Your inside man gets arrested on an unrelated charge. Drug possession. Small amount. Bad luck. But he's facing his 3rd strike. Life without parole under mandatory sentencing laws. He sits in a county jail for 9 days weighing 2 futures. His life behind bars forever, or yours. He makes a calculation. His life versus yours. The choice is obvious. He tells them everything. The storage unit, the crew members, the next planned job. Every method, every route, every name he knows. The FBI watches you for 2 months, building a case so airtight no lawyer can break it. They arrest everyone simultaneously. Coordinated raids across 4 cities. You're in your apartment watching television when they come through the door. 6 agents, tactical gear, weapons drawn. The arrest itself takes 11 seconds. The investigation that led to it took 14 months. Federal trial, RICO charges, conspiracy, armed robbery across state lines. The evidence is overwhelming. Recorded conversations, surveillance footage. Your inside man testifying in court, not looking at you, describing every detail like he's reading from a manual. The jury deliberates for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge gives you 25 years. Federal time. You'll serve at least 85%. You're 35. You'll be 56 when you're eligible for release. The math Marcus warned you about finally stopped making sense. Level 5. The lifer. Prison is different this time. You're not the young guy figuring out the rules. You're the guy who already knows them. Your body breaks down year by year. Bad knees from standing on concrete. Chronic back pain from a mattress designed for punishment, not sleep. The violence is constant, but you've learned when to fight and when to disappear. Year 2, your daughter turns 14. Lisa sends a photo. You don't recognize the girl in it. She has your eyes and the hospital guy's last name. You pin the photo above your bunk and stare at it until the face becomes familiar, which takes longer than it should. Year 4, you write Marcus. The first time you've contacted anyone from outside in years. You don't know if the address in North Carolina still works. You write 3 pages about nothing. The food, the weather, a book you read about a fisherman. You don't apologize because the apology would be too big to fit in a letter. You just write. Marcus writes back 2 weeks later. 1 page. He bought the house. He's got a dog named Chief. His sister's kids come over on weekends. He works at a hardware store. He doesn't ask about prison because he already knows. He ends the letter the same way he ended the conversation at the diner. He says the math always catches up. He doesn't say, "I told you so." He doesn't have to. You meet men who've been down longer than you've been alive. They talk about scores from the 80s, heists that made headlines. They're in their 70s now, shuffling to the chow hall, waiting to die in cells. You see your future in their faces, and the recognition is physical. A coldness in your stomach that doesn't go away for weeks. Some guys find religion. Some find education. Some just find ways to endure the hours. You teach younger inmates what you know. Not the robbery part. The discipline. How to do time without letting time do you. How to keep your mind sharp when everything is designed to make you dull. How to maintain humanity in a place built to strip it away. Year 8. Your daughter is 20 and in college. Pre-law. The irony of that sits with you for days. Year 12. A new kid arrives on your block. 22 years old. Armed robbery of a check cashing store. He got $900 and 15 years. He reminds you of yourself at level 1. That kid on the corner who thought $2,000 was worth the risk. You want to tell him what you know, that the money is never enough, that the skill becomes a prison before the cell does, that every level feels like progress until you realize the levels only go in one direction. But he wouldn't listen. You know because you didn't. Year 14. Marcus visits. He drives 11 hours from North Carolina. He's older, thicker. His hair is gray at the temples. He sits across from you in the visiting room and talks about his garden. Tomatoes? A fence he built? The dog got old and he got a second one, named it Deputy, because Chief needed a partner. He doesn't talk about what you did or where you are. He talks about the world outside like he's leaving a door open for you to walk through someday. Before he leaves, he puts his hand flat on the glass. You put yours against it on your side. He nods once. That's it. He drives 11 hours home. Parole hearing at year 21. The board asks if you accept responsibility, if you understand the harm you caused, if you're rehabilitated. You give the answers they want to hear because the truth is complicated. You're not sorry for the money. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry for the years lost. You're sorry your daughter grew up without you, but the work itself, the planning, the execution, the brief moments when everything aligned perfectly, you'd be lying if you said you regretted that part. So you give the version of the truth that fits what they need to hear. They deny parole. 2 more years. You return to your cell. The walls are the same color they've always been. You write Marcus that night. Short letter. They said no. 2 more years. He writes back in 4 days. He says the porch has a second chair. Always has. You're released at 58. The world outside is unrecognizable. Everyone stares at phones that do things phones shouldn't do. Cars look different. People pay for coffee by waving their wrists. The money you stole is worthless now, spent on lawyers and commissary over 2 decades. Everything you built is gone. The storage unit was seized. The accounts were frozen. 20 years of planning and executing and accumulating, and every dollar ended up in an evidence locker or a government account. Your parole officer sets you up with a room in a halfway house and a job washing dishes at a diner. Minimum wage, the same job you had after your first sentence. The symmetry isn't poetic, it's punishment. Your daughter visits once. She's 35 now. Lawyer. The irony has not softened. She sits across from you at a coffee shop and asks questions like a deposition. Where were you when she started kindergarten? Where were you when her mother remarried? Where were you when she graduated? You answer everything because you owe her that. She doesn't cry. She doesn't yell. She just listens and nods and says she needed to hear it from you. She leaves after 40 minutes. She doesn't say she'll come back. She doesn't say she won't. 3 months after release, you get on a bus, 11 hours south. Marcus picks you up at the station. He's older now, moves slower. The dog deputy is old and sleeps on the porch all day. Marcus shows you the second chair. It's been there for years, weathered from rain and sun, waiting. You sit, he sits. He doesn't ask what you're going to do next because the answer is obvious. You're going to sit here. You're going to learn what quiet feels like when it's not enforced by concrete and steel. You're going to watch a man who made the same choices you made and chose differently at the exact moment it mattered. And you're going to live with the knowledge that the only difference between his life and yours was one conversation at a diner that you didn't listen to. Sometimes you walk past banks. You still notice things civilians don't see. Camera angles, traffic patterns, guard rotations, vulnerabilities that haven't changed in 20 years. The knowledge never leaves. It sits in your brain like a language you learned as a child. Fluent, permanent, useless. The person who would act on it died somewhere around year 15. What remains is just a man on a porch in North Carolina, drinking coffee next to his only friend, carrying skills that made him exceptional at something that consumed everything. Marcus hands you the cup without looking up. You drink. The coffee is terrible. The morning is warm. The chair holds your weight like it's been expecting you. That should be enough. Most days, it is.